Journey is a life skills program for teenage youth ages 13 through 18, and we've been serving the Rochester community now for a total of 10 years. We've been in service. The Journey program was founded based on my own personal lived life experiences growing up in the inner city of Chicago in foster care. I spent my entire life in foster care from age 4 all the way until I emancipated out at the age of 21 years old through a youth in college program. And I have experienced mental abuse, physical abuse, homelessness, teen pregnancies, dropping out of high school. I've suffered with mental health. I've been to drug treatment for marijuana as a teenager, and kind of bounced from foster home to foster home and group homes and whatnot as a kid. And so thankfully, none of my experiences as a youth damaged my reputation or my background too much to where I couldn't become successful as an adult, but I came very close. And so I took my lived life experiences and decided that I wanted to teach other young people the lessons that I had learned on how to not make the same mistakes and decisions that I made that could ultimately affect their future selves.
Just to double check a little bit, can everyone see my screen? Sharing screen?
And
yes.
So
just to check, can you see
yes,
screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. And so the 8 Steps to Promotion workshop, I designed this workshop based off my own personal lived experience. So I'll quickly give you a rundown of the workshop and what it means. So the 8 Steps to Promotion workshop is based on 3 different perspectives: homeschool, work and leisure. Leisure meaning like a sports team, any type of recreational sports or on the job, right? So the 3 perspectives is home, school, and then that work/leisure. So when we get into the workshops, the first one is getting to know me. So we run this workshop twice a week for 8 weeks, 2 hours per session. So the youth would receive a 40-hour life skills certificate upon completion, as well as a graduation. So getting to know me, when we talk about getting to know me, that means we're teaching the young people, why is it important to get to know who you are when it comes to your home life, school, at work, and through leisure. And we're all adults here on this video call. We all know how hard life was growing up, having to figure out how to fit in over here or over there. I wasn't a part of the popular crew until high school, so I went through my phase of trying to figure out who I was. And so why is it important to know who you are when it comes to your home life? The youth might be struggling with identity crisis. They might not want to follow in their parents' footsteps. Getting to know me is about self-love, acknowledgement of self, and creating a foundational base to determine who and what you want to be in the future. Respect and responsibility, same thing. We teach youth the importance of respect and responsibility at home, at school, as well as on the job and through leisure. If you're on a sports team, why is it important not only to respect yourself, but as well as respect others in those different environments? And then we give them different resources and tools in order to be able to do so. Coping skills, same thing. Why is it important to have and learn coping skills at home? For me, I was in foster care, so I had to learn how to cope in different environments with different people on a regular basis because I moved from placement to placement on a very often. So I had to learn how to cope in different environments with different people, with different backgrounds as far as religion, ethnicity, and so on. So I'm very diverse. I have a very diverse perspective. And so that's where that diverse perspective came from, being in those different environments. So all of these topics are all lived experiences that our personal lived experience that I've had that we're bringing to the table to teach the young people. So we teach them how to cope with different situations that they have no control over at home, such as something small as, why do I have to do the dishes? Why do I have to clean up my room? Why do I have to be in at a certain time? Why is my mom dating this guy that I don't like? Coping skills. What do you do when you have to cope with a situation that you have no control over? At school, an example of coping skills that we teach is you might not like your teacher. You might think your teacher is a racist, or you might not think your teacher is smart enough to be teaching you. You might think you're smarter than your teacher, right? So we teach you, how do you cope in a situation where you feel like you have no control because you are a young person? And so we give them the resources and tools to be able to get through those different scenarios based off those 3 different perspectives. Same with leisure and work experience, some of those coping skills in order to deal with different customers and employment environments and things like that. And then our relations and relationships workshop. Relations is like a kind word for sex. The relations and relationships workshop is our only workshop that's sort of a 2-part workshop. And so relations means sex. And so we teach young people the importance of protecting yourself. We talk about teen pregnancies, STDs, HIV. The relations workshop is where we teach the young people how to identify the difference between a healthy relationship versus an unhealthy relationship. And so remember those 3 different perspectives we're working from. So when we're talking about relations and relationships, we're talking about what does identifying healthy and unhealthy relationships mean, and what does that look like at home. And when we talk about this topic, we almost always, as mandated reporters, have to make a call to Olmsted County social services, because it's considered a safe space. And so a lot of times young people come out to myself or either staff to report incidences that are inappropriate that they have experienced within the home or different environments. Each one of our workshop, I'd like to add before I move on that myself, as well as a program coordinator, we're the ones who teach the workshop based off our lived personal experience, but we also have someone who is a sponsor for that particular workshop from a professional background that accompany us to teach the youth in these workshops. For example, coping skills, we always work with MHP if we're working with the school district, or either, like we did a summer camp and we had someone from Zumbro Valley Mental Health come in and talk about coping skills. And then relations and relationships, we have a 3-year partnership relationship with Planned Parenthood of Rochester. They usually send a staff person out to communicate with the youth about the relations and relationship workshop and give material and information about their program. The importance of education. We partner with Winona State University as well as RCTC. Our money management workshop, we partner with our longtime sponsor, Affinity Plus Bank. And for our law and legal rights, we have partnered in the past with Rochester Police Department. And so I'm just going to go backwards a little bit to the importance of education. I picked the importance of education because myself, I dropped out of high school. I had my first daughter at age 15, and I was an honor student. I got all A's. I played multiple sports. And after having my daughter, I dropped out and had to get a job and those sorts of things. So I thought it was important to teach youth why education is so important, and not just to say, hey, you need to go to school because you need to go to college to get a good job, but the knowledgeable piece behind it, like history and science and the future of our economy, right? And so the importance of education, we talk about why education is so important from a home perspective. You might be a first-year college graduate, a first-year the first person in your family to attend college, which makes a really big deal. And then why is the importance of education is so important when it comes to school, because if you are a sophomore in in high school, you've got to pay attention. You know, those placement tests and things like that when it's time to go to college are all important. And same with work and leisure. In order to get a good job, you know, you've got to have some form of educational background. And then on a sports team, you might be able to play basketball really well, but what if you have an injury? What are you going to do with the rest of your life, right? And so these are the things that we talk about in the importance of education. And then in money management, we talk about the value of a dollar, and why knowing the history of not just the value of a dollar, but the history of the dollar here in our country, and what is its importance, what is its value, and how does it relate to those three perspectives: at home, at school, and through leisure. And then law and legal rights. Really quick, I'll share a little bit about what we do in our workshop as far as activities. For example, our money management workshop, we use Monopoly money and print out fake checks, and the kids cash their checks with the bank representative from Affinity with their Monopoly money, and they go around the table and they make payments on their bills, and then we decide who's going to get repossessed, who's going to get evicted, those sorts of things, whose lights are going to get shut off. So we have different activities that we do in each one of the workshop that relates to the topic that we're referencing. For the law and legal rights workshop, like I said, we work with the Rochester Police Department. In that workshop, we talk about the three different perspectives: law and legal rights at home. Why is that important? To be able to follow the rules. Curfew, for one. That's really, really important. Domestic violence, right? Law and legal rights. Why is it important to know your rights as a citizen within this country? What are your rights? What's the difference between a misdemeanor and a felony? What would happen if you were charged and you needed a lawyer? What does that process look like? What does the expense look like? How can having any of these charges affect your life in the future? And then they get to see what it's like to be cuffed and be in the back of a police car, of course, with consent from parents, and how hot it is. And the most important part for me with the law and legal rights workshop is teaching the youth how to be responsive when approached by authority, law enforcement. Because in the past, especially since 2020, our young people, especially African American young men, it's important to know what to do, what not to do, and what your rights are when you are approached by law enforcement. And then who am I? Who am I is where it's our 8th week, which is the graduation ceremony, where each of the youth in our workshop will present. They'll do a presentation at their graduation, and then they'll explain to you who they are. Everyone at the graduation that's been a part of that workshop is invited. All of the sponsors that were a part of the workshop, from the Affinity Bank, Planned Parenthood, Police Department representatives, family members, and friends are there to see the youth in our program present who they are and what they've learned from the program and how that will assist them with moving forward. And who am I means, where am I going in life? This is my goal. This is the journey that I'm going on. This is the road that I've decided to take. And so we do that. If you want to slide down a little bit. Thank you. So this picture is from one of our first groups. When I got to Rochester, I worked at the Boys and Girls Club when it was Northwest, and I was the team director there. And so I implemented the 8 Steps to Promotions workshop here in Rochester for the first time as a team director at the Boys and Girls Club. And this was about 12 years ago. And so this group of youth that you see here, they started a rap group called BGC. It stood for Beats Going Crazy, where they promoted positive rap music because they felt that they lived in a world where music was very influential to young people, especially African American people, and they just were really passionate about making music that would help our community go in a different direction. And so I took them to North Coast Production Studio, where they recorded their first album, and we used the funds for that to help raise funds for our 8 Steps to Promotion workshop. And the next screen here, Later on, they performed at the Pace Back to School rally. It was their first performance as BGC inside of the community here, where they had a great time. Their friends kind of cheered them on, encouraged them. They even had their own dancers and such, and it was a great thing. The girl with the glasses, that's Roslyn Moore. Just remember her, as you'll see her a little later. And then right here is them all grown up now. The two boys in the jerseys are brothers, and they just graduated from Florida State University, where they received a scholarship for college. The one here in the middle with the jersey, he's currently working as a hotel manager in Rochester. And Chappelle, she continued her desire to work in the career industry, and she's now doing music management and promotions for shows. So it stuck with her all these years. If you want to continue to go down. From alumni to employees, as you can see, the photos on the left are some of the young girls from our workshop. One of them is my oldest daughter, the one I had at 15, Ayana. And the others are girls that were in our workshop as well, and they are still affiliated with our program. They are our employees. Every single person almost that's been with our that's a part of our employee list is alumni of our program. And then if you scroll down, the Journie dance team, that's where we have our own dance team where we go perform at different schools, rallies, football games. It keeps the young ladies engaged. And that's from where we volunteered for several years as an after-school program at John Adams Middle School. And then there we performed at University of Minnesota, Rochester. And in 2020, during the pandemic, our program was put on hold because of COVID. And so in light of George Floyd being murdered and Donald Trump running for president, we were all kind of stuck at home, and our country just had a lot going on. And I thought, what can I do to bring the community together? Because all of a sudden we were really divided because due to like racial divide, a lot of that was kind of going on. And so I said, what can I do to help alleviate some of that? And so Juneteenth is something that we celebrated in Chicago for many years. And being here in Rochester, I know that NAACP has done it for several years, and I just want to say thank them for their services. Myself, I had not seen a Juneteenth celebration, so we decided to put that together, and it was successful. In 2020, we had about 2,500 people come out that day. It was the first event once our community was released from quarantine, and it was a great event. And so we continued it in the year of 2021, where we later implemented the Mr. and Miss Juneteenth Scholarship Award. And there, that's Casper. He created the cha-cha slide. He came down and go back up a little bit. You're too far. Juneteenth 2021. Yeah, we're right there. Juneteenth 2021, Casper came down and he created the Rochester Cha-Cha Slide, and then we did the basketball tournament with the Rochester Police Department and other community members, community organizations that have basketball teams. If you go down a little bit here, Juneteenth 2022, we honor the Black men in the community that were making a huge difference. So we call that the Black Leadership Award, is what we implemented in 2022. And then we had celebrity guest performing artist Santa here for that as well. And the city of Rochester's DEI child, she signed that and acknowledged all those people. So we're very connected within the community, and we pride ourselves in collaboration and partnership. And then that's just, if you scroll down, Mr. and Miss Juneteenth 2021, you can keep scrolling, and then that's Mr. and Miss Juneteenth 2022, and this is Mr. and Miss Juneteenth 2023 that we just crowned here in the MLK Park. So we've been doing it now for 4 years, and we'd love if you guys could support. And as you go down here some more, what you might ask yourself, how do we raise funds for our organization? So if you go back up one where it's Halloween a little bit, yeah, right there. So our organization, we've received 2 grants in the past 10 years. And so what we do, we basically put on events for the young people to make sure they're enjoying themselves as well as being safe about it. So the Halloween bash, we throw a party or an event. We did a lot of that at the Boys and Girls Club before the Boys and Girls Club shut down, but that's where the young people were able to go and enjoy themselves via events that we would put on for them within the community that were age appropriate. And there were other fathers within the community that would act as security to come in and make sure that everybody was being safe. And so those are just some photos of some events that we've had. You can scroll down. And Downtown Day Chicago, we just attended that on July 8th, where we partnered with another organization in Chicago. Chicago is my hometown. My block, my hood, my city did a downtown day. It made the news. A lot of kids in Chicago had ransacked downtown. And so to make up for that, that organization did that and invited Journie to come and be a part of that, because a lot of the kids in our organization that we serve are from Chicago. So we took them to share in that experience. And here's just a few photos from some of our graduations that we've had in the past. And then social justice. Journie prides ourselves in also being an advocate for justice. You know, I myself consider myself a revolutionary. I am all about making sure that equality is at the forefront of everything that we're doing within our community. And we pride ourselves in holding people accountable for the things that they say that they're going to do and that they should be doing. So all of the youth and families within our program, we make sure that we support them and we advocate for them on their behalf. The Rochester Women's Magazine is a proud sponsor of our program. A lot of our notoriety and recognition came from their free advertising services for our program. So we always want to make sure we highlight and thank them for their service. Journie is currently a recipient of United Way's Youth Empowerment Grant. And so we're excited to have that grant opportunity where we will be able to have funding to provide services to youth this fall. Journie has also been a part of the Cradle to Career High School Graduation Network for the past 5 years, and we pride ourselves in being a part of that network. The Mr. and Miss Juneteenth Scholarship was created so that we can help increase the graduation numbers for African-American youth in Rochester. The Mr. and Miss Juneteenth Scholarship was a way to encourage young people to finish and cross the finish line. And that stemmed from our involvement with the Cradle to Career High School Graduation Network and being able to see the data and information surrounding the educational piece with young people in Rochester Public Schools. Journie was previously fiscally sponsored by Diversity Council, and then suddenly we had to shut down for a period of time unexpectedly. But now we are proud to announce that we are fiscally sponsored by Propel for the next year as we are awaiting our 501c3 certification. In November of 2022, Journie received the National Jefferson Award in New York City with Multiplying Good as being one of the top 5 nonprofits in America. And so we are excited and grateful for that recognition from Multiplying Goods. Since then, I myself have become a QI, which stands for a Qualified Individual for the state of Minnesota. So I am trained and licensed to do needs assessments for the state of Minnesota for Department of Children and Family Services. I am also going through a training to be certified in alternatives to therapy through mental health through the Healing Forest Project as a nature and forest therapy guide. So Journie has and always been an alternative to therapy program, but now we're at the stage where we are becoming certified and licensed. And really quickly, I'll introduce my team. Tierney Parker she's the owner and operator of Mixie Madness. She just did a mural of the historical music building on South Broadway. She's our program coordinator. You'll see her this fall with myself in training in the schools, running the 8 Steps to Promotion workshop. Kylie Faye is the marketing coordinator. She also works for Planned Parenthood, and so she assists with a lot of our marketing material. Right now, she's on maternity leave, and we can't wait for her to get back. Douglas Porter. Doug has worked with a lot of our youth in the past on music stuff, and so he's planning to run a music program this winter with the youth in our program. So we're currently working on that. And when we have shows and events, Doug usually helps us with our lighting and entertainment setup. Amnia Boone, she's our membership coordinator. She makes sure that all of our youth in our program have all their paperwork complete, as well as our volunteers and sponsors. She makes sure that all of that is complete. She's the owner and operator of a women's boutique called Malika as well. And then Rosalind Moore, she is my executive assistant, and she is currently what she does a lot. She does a lot. She's an alumni of our program as well. She graduated from our first cohort in 2012. She recently graduated from University of Minnesota 2 years ago with her bachelor's degree and in sports med, and she's currently working as a community coordinator for Girl Scouts, and she works with us part-time. And then Levi, he's in charge of our IT stuff, and he also runs a business called North Butler, and he does some work with Collider as well. And lastly, I'll just go over some of the needs for our program. We need more funding resources, transportation. We take you to doctor's appointments. We take them on field trips and things like that. And so usually I use my personal vehicle, which can be hard. We often don't have enough space. So we're in need of that. We're looking for permanent space because we used to be at the YMCA, but that's no longer available to us. So we use a lot of our funding and donations to rent out spaces throughout the community to hold our workshops and classes. Donations of hygiene products and bus passes to help the youth be able to get to their employments, their different job locations, and then hygiene products. Surprisingly, they all kind of lack that for some reason. And then gift cards. Incentives is a huge way to keep them coming back to workshop. We are always in need of volunteers, especially when it comes to when we do different outings and trips and things like that. And we're always looking for mentors. Next slide. Our community support and collaboration. This is just a list of people, businesses, and organizations that have played a major role in the success of our organization over the past 10 years. Just to name a few, the Workforce Development, United Way, Credit to Career, all these wonderful people. You might know a lot of them that's on the list. They've all played a really major role in making sure that we stay afloat here in Rochester over the past few years. And then if you go to the next slide, I'd love it if you guys would follow us on our social media platforms to stay in the know of what we have going on. We'd love to invite you to some of the events that we have. We've recently had a healing circle, a community conversation. Coming up, we have an event called Let's Talk About It that's being led by Tierney Parker downtown at the Art Head Emporium that focuses on biracial differences and stigmas, where she'll be raffling off some art pieces. And then here, this is our website, journeyproject.org, and you can visit us there to make a donation, become a mentor, request for partnership and collaboration, or either request a referral so that we can send you an application for a student or a youth to become a part of our program. We want to thank the city of Rochester for allowing us to serve here for the past 10 years. It has been wonderful. I think last but not least, it's really important that Olmsted County stick to its word when it says community collaboration and things like that, and not just saying like this is what we're going to do, but really sticking to it, because there's organizations here in Rochester that can really get the job done. And I want to say that the Journey program is really big on making sure that we provide you guys the services that you need. You need the community, you need the families, you need the youth, right? And so when we put the youth through our program, they go through our 8 Steps to Promotion workshop. We do the needs assessment for them and the family and find out which community resource do we need to send you in which direction. And so we make that choice. We partner with different community organizations, and we'd love to partner with Mayo Clinic or Olmsted County Social Services or Olmsted County Services as a whole. I sit on the African American Child Wellbeing Advisory Committee for the state of Minnesota, and so I'm very familiar with the councils and drawing up different documents for legislative review. And I just think that Rochester is doing a really good job at moving forward. I think that we just need to move forward and take 2 to 3 steps, because we're about 5 steps behind what we said we were going to do 5, maybe 10 years ago. So if anyone has questions, feel free to ask. And thank you so much for allowing me to be able to present here today.
Thank you, Nashauna. I'll give you a couple of minutes for questions. We're about 15 minutes to end. So George, you guys go ahead. George, you have a comment?
I was just leading the cheers. Anyway, very impressive. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Maybe I'll make one comment is Mark Thine and your small business, your organization, some of the mentoring, some of the financial thing, some of the training, perhaps you folks can also be part of that, at a certain time, I guess, right?
Sure. Yeah, most certainly, Al. We're an organization that helps small businesses grow and start, and a lot of that is around financials and financing and market research and working with individuals one-on-one and putting on trainings. And so we're a resource in the community that I would hope we could continue to, or people on this call that could continue to use us. And Al, maybe at some point in time in the future, I could get on the agenda. We could get on the agenda, and then we'll talk in greater detail about our services too. So
yeah. Okay, good.
Somebody else had a question. Somebody else had a question. I think Catherine.
Catherine? Well, I think Catherine just applauded you, I think, all she did. Yeah. Okay, so thank you again, Nashauna, for all the work you did. Okay, for the remaining, we've got about 15 more minutes, and then I'll just share a little bit. Okay, hopefully this works. Okay, can you see so far? Yeah, I'm going to give you a little CMRC update so that you get a feel for what some of the things we're working on and some of the relationship we have potentially with everybody here. Let me see, I can reset. Okay.